There is a MAGA figure who's really popular on the right, unfortunately, named Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson is his name. And we did a story. You can take that down, Jaden. We did a story a little while ago titled, let's see here. You can show this. My MAGA hater posted a video of himself does this. And it was about Benny Johnson and his coverage of my appearance on Tim Pool's show. And so I'll remind you of what he had to say about yours truly, and then we'll get on to checking in, sort of what happened to the MAGA hater, Benny Johnson, after that. Something crazy happened that was rather humiliating. But first, here is what Benny thinks of me.
Pool's show where a young man named Luke Beasley tried to dunk on Tim and ended up destroying his career. Now, Luke Beasley, I don't know who this person is.
Okay, wait, by the way, he posted this 3 months ago. So there's going to be some claims about my career being over. Now we can check in and see if my career is over 3 months later.
Looks exactly like kind of your average, typical soy boy, cuck, leftist, right? Very weak jaw.
I'm a cock, he says. God, that's just such a weird thing to say.
Jaws, these people, very, very weak jaw, very thin, translucent individuals. They all are. I don't know if they clone them or what, but they all look exactly the same. Progressive political commentator. Okay, Luke Beasley show on YouTube. Let's go ahead and check. What does a Luke Beasley show on YouTube look like here? Luke Beasley has 1 million subs. Okay, so he's clearly Luke Beasley has something going on here, but it's all over now. It's all done because Tim Pool ended it. This is the difference between somebody who's actually.
By the way, he mentioned the subscriber count. We're now up to 1.26, so that's exciting. Since then, I appreciate all of you. If you're not subscribed, please do. If you don't think that I'm a liberal soy boy cuck, then you can click the subscribe button.
Thought through their positions and can defend them, and somebody who is just LARPing, right, and gaining an audience. I don't know, based on vibes. I'm not sure exactly. But Luke Beasley, who has, again, who's cloning these people? Why do they all have this haircut? Why do they all have this jawline? Why do they all look like that? Why are they always looking so scared? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, liberal influencer Luke Beasley got his ass handed to him live, and it went thermonuclear viral on my page. We said that he was gutted like a fish. This thing did millions of views. The Hodge twins also popped it up, and it did, also did millions of views. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Pool owns this lib over January 6th, and him saying that January 6th political prisoners should just stay there forever because, well, he's a fascist. Please, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the most viral clip on the internet.
Okay, so I have said I won't go through the whole thing again. Obviously, the characterization of that conversation was whack, but I've said this too. It's such an interesting microcosm of the American divide macrocosm, because his title is Tim Pool ends career of sniveling lib live, guts him like a fish, left shaking in stunned silence. Now, if you go watch the clip I've covered a bunch of times, you can go, that MAGA hater video, I probably played it, but I guess you can judge if that was my reaction. But then when I click on this video, the suggested videos for my YouTube are lone liberal about the same clip destroys Tim Pool and friends in brutal 5v1 debate. And then another one from the majority report, Tim Pool humiliated by his own laziness about our interaction. So it's just sort of the same exact clip can have polar opposite responses where I was doing the destroying or I was the one receiving the destroying or being gutted like a fish. And both audiences perceive it as the way that was framed. So really interesting. But that's what he had to say about me. He didn't like me. So now let's check in on Benny and see what he's been up to. I showed you this clip of him, and now we have an update clip. So here's him as the stock market's spiraling, saying, losing money means nothing. Digital ones and zeros. In the end, you won't miss any of it. Losing your country costs you everything. You will never get that back. Your kids will be slaves to foreign powers who hate us. Without America First policies, we become slaves. Fight. So watch this clip, and then the follow-up one makes this so brutally ridiculous.
Losing money costs you nothing. This is just the...
I can't get over that. I'm sorry. Losing money costs you nothing. I think he sees his job as acting. You know, like, to me, if I were to post something saying that, I would just feel so empty inside. You know that's not true, and you know that you've said the opposite about Biden whenever he was in power. So don't. It's so embarrassing.
Losing money costs you nothing. This is just the reality of life. Like, were you young and dumb? How much money did you lose? Everyone loses money. Everyone loses money. It costs you nothing. In fact, it builds quite a bit of character. In fact, you learn a lot of lessons, actually, by losing money. Losing your character costs you everything. Losing your country costs you everything. There are things you can't get back.
Why is he barely enunciating? Losing your character costs you nothing. No. I think it is like the performative genuineness. Losing you nothing. It costs you nothing. It's just ones and zeros. Yeah, except for that's like... Okay. I already addressed that clip before, but it's kind of how people survive too. Well, this was him in 2024, whenever Trump wasn't in power and the stock market had a dip, but not this dip.
It's bloody Black Monday. Holy moly. The Kamala crash is here. Kamala needs to get in front of a camera today. People are losing their homes today. People are losing their fortunes today. People are losing their futures today. People are losing their 401ks today. This is shaping up to be one of the worst market days in American history.
So a much less severe dip. He was that fired up. And now he's saying about a more severe stock market plummet caused not like the Kamala situation where it wasn't Kamala, it was just normal market factors. There wasn't a policy announcement that caused it. It wasn't a tariff thing. It was just the market took a downturn and then it recovered a couple of days later completely and then continued to break records over and over and over and over and over again, despite many never talking about that. But now when Trump directly does it, so it's not just the impact, does it himself by making these announcements, Benny says this.
Losing money costs you nothing. This is just the reality of life. Like, were you young and dumb? How much money did you...
It's hammer time again. Hammer time. Crazy. Can you imagine? One more time.
Losing money costs you nothing.
That's not me. I'm not saying that, and I feel embarrassment about it. I feel embarrassed that he said that. Why would you say that? It's so mean to people losing the money. It's so out of touch. He makes millions, so yeah, I'm sure it doesn't bother him that much when he sees a downturn in his portfolio. But the economic disaster that Trump is causing means real stuff in people's lives. As he was saying in 2024, when he was saying,
hey, people are losing their futures today. People are losing their 401ks today. This is shaping up to be one of the worst.
he's just a performer, as shown by now his current persona being very different than that he had when he worked for BuzzFeed. Micah Irfan writes, for those who don't know, before becoming a right-wing influencer, Benny Johnson was actually a writer for BuzzFeed. He was fired after a year when they uncovered that he committed plagiarism on 41 different occasions. And there's our strong-jawed, great jawline, Benny Johnson. And excuse me, everybody, I'm sorry. But if you check in on what he was writing about, apparently one of them was, let's be honest, straight guys, we all like butt stuff. Oh, gosh, that's classic. We all like butt stuff. Bill Clinton's white thighs will not make you miss the 90s at all. You can't look away. BuzzFeed writer Benny Johnson fired for plagiarism. You know, I knew it was plagiarism. I was so heartbroken when my favorite BuzzFeed writer of, let's be honest, straight guys, we all do butt stuff, like butt stuff fame, was actually plagiarizing. Growing up in 2014, I wanted to be the next Benny. I wanted to write, let's be honest, gay guys, we all like butt stuff. I don't know, but I looked up to him, I looked up to him, and then I found out he was plagiarizing. And the butt stuff article wasn't even his own work, okay? It's terrible. So doing that and then shifting and out, and then he's right wing, and he just does this sort of performance. It's an act for people. I don't know how that works. I guess money. But do you not feel like your family and friends see that stuff and they know that's not you, and you're going to have to explain to your kids that that's what you were doing, just being a complete propagandist for Trump? If you go look at we could actually probably pull this up right now. If you go look at his Twitter feed, it's just as if he's the rapid response account for Trump. Here, let's do this like he did it with me. All right, so we're going to pull up Benny Johnson. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Very interesting. Where do they make these people? Benny Johnson. Let's see. Your front seat to the golden era. I did a segment on Benny, and it went thermonuclear viral. It went triple platinum viral all over the World Wide Web. President Trump says he met with Speaker Johnson and other conservatives about the one big beautiful bill. Let's see. It's just so interesting. Let's see. President Trump just scorched Joe Biden for trying to abolish the American coal industry. President Trump's greeted with a massive round of applause from American coal workers. What was it that he said? I feel like there was a little projection here.
The literal sense on Tim Pool's show where Luke Beasley is just LARPing, right? And gaining an audience, I don't know, based on vibes. I'm not sure exactly. But Luke Beasley, who has, again, who's giving all these, who's cloning?
Okay. The LARPing point, let me go back a little bit because it's such an interesting.
But it's all over now. It's all done because Tim Pool ended it. This is the difference between somebody who's actually thought through their positions.
Right. So that applies to him so well. Because it doesn't take to write never stops, just epic with the photo of Trump. Look, it's Trump's old body shuffling. Never stops. He's so strong. Talk about a cook. Princeton University professor just called 78 million Americans racist. Oh, oof. Let's see. I want to see more of his hype up of Trump. Tim Burchett drops the hammer. Okay, these are a lot of interview clips. Let's see. He captions Musk. A reporter asked, Musk actually referred to Navarro today as dumber than a sack of bricks. And Caroline Leavitt said, boys will be boys. And Benny Johnson said, as it should. What does that mean? Incredible. Another one? Incredible. President Trump plants a magnolia tree at the White House. Magnolia tree. Incredible. Look at him. He never stops, never quits, never back down. Look at this absolute masculinity. Yeah, so that's what he's up to. It's so cringe. But now his career's over and he's never going to recover because of that expose. What a life. Share your thoughts in the comments. Support the show. Speaking back at a normal human volume by clicking that join button below.